You're listening to The Artist Athlete, episode 92. This podcast is dedicated to CIRCUS. It's a place for professionals in the industry to share their stories, viewpoints, and information, and a place for outsiders to get a sneak peek into this world. Hey friends, fans, and enemies. I'm Shannon McKenna. I'm the host of the Artist Athlete podcast and the founder of theartistathlete.com. So just like every week, I want to shout out this week to my amazing Patreons who give small amounts of money each month to help me bring the podcast to all of you. This episode, however, I have a new Patreon at the enemies level, so you can pick which level you want to go to. Friends, you can give $1, fans give $5 or more, and enemies give $30 a month or more to help me cover the expenses associated with this podcast. And when I get a new enemy, I call them up and I say thank you for your support, for pushing me to do the best work that I can do, and for giving back really to the community. I keep this resource free and accessible for everyone because of Patreons like Dominique. My enemies also record a little 15-second snippet that goes at the end of every episode. If they want to, they don't have to. And I always think it's fun to hear from the people who are my Patreons. So I am offering a little recording of my conversation with me and Dominique. Again, it's all cut up, but you'll get a little idea of how awesome this girl is. Wait, so when did you get your master's in?
Oh, I didn't end up doing it. I withdrew my application, had profs lined up and everything, and had to go to them and be like, never mind, I'm going to join the circus instead. And there were a few of them that thought I was kidding, and it was a whole thing.
That's so awesome. You know, math will always be there.
Yeah.
No, people will always need to add numbers together. So,
well, even one of the profs was saying, he was like, I had someone start her PhD with me and then left to become a professional pianist and then developed arthritis in her hands 30 years later. And came back and finished her PhD in math. So just hit me up when your body breaks down.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. No, it's so true though. It's life is long, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
How did you find the podcast?
My coach and I share a lot of podcasts. So it must have been him who sent me your way. Yeah.
Love that. And okay, so because I also love podcasts, I always want podcast recommendations from other people. So what are your other favorite podcasts?
Oh, I have so many. Okay. There's Life of an Acrobat, but you had her on, right?
Yeah, Live Like an Acrobat, Shanae. Shanae's awesome. Yeah.
Because I think that's how I found out about hers. The Handstand Factory has a podcast. In the podcast, they talk a lot about anatomy. I'm currently listening to one about anatomy quirks and how that can affect your handstand.
Ooh.
So it's really cool.
Okay. I'm going to check them out. And thank you for becoming a Patreon. So what, and I'm interested in this too, what made you decide to become a Patreon?
Real talk, basically COVID means I can't train anywhere. So I'm not spending training money. So I was like, how do I support CIRCUS? So you.
Oh my God. Thank you. That's so awesome. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, because I'm a coach. I've just been coaching myself right now. And that doesn't cost very much money. So I was kind of trying to put that budget to good use.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for chilling. I hope we get to meet in person someday. And until then, keep in touch on the internet.
Thank you. Yes. I'm going to the ENC audition if things are safe. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Write me, DM me. I'm following you now, so it'll go into the right place. And let me know when you're in town.
I will. Thanks.
Yay. Okay. Have a good day, Dominique.
You too. Bye.
If you want to follow Dominique on Instagram, she is Dom Upside Down, DOM. And if you want to go to her website, it's domupsidedown.com. And if you want to become a Patreon at any level, you can go to patreon.com/theartistathlete and sign up today. Again, that's patreon.com/theartistathlete. My guests today, That's right, guests, plural, are two amazing women, Michele Frances Clarke and Yammel Rodriguez. Michele and Yammel are internationally renowned circus artists who rose from challenging backgrounds to unlikely achievements. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit Germany, the two individual artists lost all of their immediate and future work as performers. They used their creativity and street smarts to develop a roving performance selling freshly baked cookies. Seeing the incredible response from these performances inspired the two to take their project, Caramel Cookies, to the next level. But just earning a living was far from the only thing on Michele and Yammel's minds. They felt a responsibility as female performers of color to bring the message of inclusivity and empowerment not only to the circus industry, but the world as a whole. They advocate for the importance of representation and creating a platform to highlight amazing artists that are often neglected because of their race and or their gender nonconforming identity. They also collaborate with sex workers who are involved in the arts but are also often stigmatized. Also in this interview, the two women speak out against a performer who copied and produced their work without their permission or financial remuneration. You can hear all of these stories and so much more in my interview with Michele Frances Clarke and Yammel Rodriguez, coming up right now. So, Yammel Rodriguez. Oh, man.
Rodriguez!
Eso, yes. And Michele Frances Clarke, welcome to the Artist Athlete Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Oh my God. It's so my pleasure. Like I said earlier, I've been like Instagram stalking you guys relentlessly. So for the people who don't know yet, who are you guys and what do you do?
I'm Michele and I sometimes a visual artist and I also do hula hoop and I bake cookies.
I'm Yammel Rodriguez. I'm coming from Mexico and I am normally a straps performer, sometimes hoop performer, and all over just a Latina trotting around the world.
Yes, with Gordy, your little
With Gordy.
Oh my God.
Gordy's my partner in crime. She's right here in front of me.
Hola, Gordy.
Hola, Gordy. She's sunbathing. She's like catching the last ray of sun in Germany. So I'm really happy she's like just being a lizard.
I love that. So you guys are in Berlin. Is that where you met?
Michele and I, we met in 2013 in Paris.
Okay.
And then we worked together around like 5 or 6 years ago in at the Box in London. And yeah, we've been friends since then. I kind of got stranded in Berlin on my way out. I was meant to move to Las Vegas to do a show over there called Absent.
Mm-hmm.
No, you all guys know about this show. And before my flight, the borders closed during Corona. And I just got stranded, and Michele has been my right hand and support here through all this chaos. That's how we got together again.
So you guys got together, and I was watching a little bit of like a video you made, and it was like you got together, you were in quarantine, you were super depressed, and you started baking cookies. Very important question. What kind of cookies did you bake?
Chocolate chip, naturally.
Love that. A classic.
I'm American type because Michele is the baker.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Last year, something I got very obsessed with, getting real soft baked American chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. So basically, we were like stuck in quarantine. Everything was super uncertain. We both lost our immediate and future work, as like all the community has. Like we really don't have any support from our families or governments in general. Mm-hmm. So we were like, what are we going to do, Michele? Let's just bake cookies and go out in the street and sell them to help our financial needs. And slowly with our creativity and like performance, experience, we started developing our concept and project that's evolved in what it is now and what is still developing and growing.
I love that so much. I think it's so cool and like entrepreneurial and just like such a neat, really creative, cute idea.
Oh, thank you.
I don't want to say cute because I feel like that's kind of demeaning, but like
It's super cute. I really find it to be like a piece of patriarchal attitude or mindset that cute things are demeaning or feminine things are demeaning. Like it was a very slight thing, but once I was with some juggler friends and I had some new pink hula hoops and they were like, "Are you serious? Pink hula hoops?" I was like, "And am I not good anymore because my hula hoops are pink? Are you serious?"
Like, aside from being like cute and feminine, you also drew inspirations from other places, though, to like create the vibe of caramel cookie. Am I saying it right? Caramel?
Yeah.
Caramel?
Yeah.
Caramel?
Caramel cookies.
Caramel cookies.
Yeah. As I said earlier, there is like a constant evolution of the project as it goes. So the first part of our inspiration was based on the 90s street culture from Atlanta, where Latino and Black communities were banned from clubs. So it was very similar to the quarantine, like kind of like getting banned. And they started doing their own parties on the streets.
It wasn't really like bands, but there was this festival called Freaknik.
Yes. I'm actually from Atlanta, so
Okay,
I remember
so you
Freaknik.
the
Yeah. But for
Spring
the
Break.
people. Yeah, it was Black Spring Break.
Black Spring Break. Yeah, it was like cars dancing in the street and, having a party. And as well, like, I don't know, I'm really inspired too by music videos. And all the music videos from this era is also about all the street parties, cars and stuff. And it wasn't that time, like, I was too young to do those things. My parents definitely would never have let me go to Freaknik, like, ever in my life.
So yeah, that was kind of our motto. It was to bring party and happiness to people along the cookies. So we decided to go cruising around, and we had this like speaker and signs, and yeah, we developed characters that they were representative of our cultures.
We started with the cookies, and then we were like, oh, what if we made it like a super adorable food truck? And then from there, we made it into performance. And when we were talking about like food truck, we realized like a lot of cross section between Black and Latino culture as far as cars and like remodeling cars, street parties, foods, like street atmosphere. That was like a big motivation or like theme that we wanted to continue. And at the same time, the killing of George Floyd happened like about 2 weeks into our discussion of this.
Yeah.
It was a really difficult time somehow for me. And unfortunately, it's a reoccurring thing. It's really hard for me, like being outside of the US while these things are happening. And it's really hard to be away from my community and my culture while seeing all these things happening. And as well, being in a place where people are supportive but don't really understand what's going on, and feeling like I constantly can't really express myself in shows and work that I have to do at the same time while this is all happening in the background. So it was really cool for me to be with Yammel at that time, like who's somebody that kind of understand these things and was really supportive and being like, yeah, we need to represent and we need to express like our feelings on these issues, and not only on these issues, but a lot of other things that are happening concurrently. And one thing that really inspired me from working with Yammel about like how to address these topics were bringing those concepts into our world so that we could kind of subversively bring these topics into discussion with ordinary people in the street under like our cookie land. So we had signs that said like Cookie Lives Matter,
Save the cookie culture,
cookie inclusivity.
Oh yeah, we were cookie inclusivity, and we had vegan, gluten-free.
Okay, so your cookies were intersectional as well. I love this.
Yeah, we basically our dream was to really create something inclusive and informative, but at the same time having a twist of sweetness with it, where it's like the message is delivered with a sweet touch, where
there's love, like a space for people to feel okay to express themselves on these topics without feeling necessarily like pushed away or feeling that they
or confronted
or that they don't have, or their opinion is invalid or something like that.
It's kind of like, Michelle, what you were saying earlier when I was like, oh, cute is such a weird word. And you were like, well, actually, I think it like can be really strong to be cute and be feminine. Also, you guys are using joy and like playfulness in this really cool way to talk about these kind of harder, these heavy topics of racism and police brutality against Black people in America. Incredibly difficult topics for people to approach. And to have this access point of joy, I think is like really, really beautiful and super circus.
It's like I have a belief that you will not stop war with more war. And like if there is like all this behavior from the outside constantly diminishing not only race but also women in general, what we wanted to do is to do an approach of like, hey, we're actually very fun and we're actually welcoming, and you should take the curiosity to get to know our culture better and to feel what we have to say, what we have to express. And often those discriminations come from a place of fear. So by us taking that step to switch it around and be like, there's nothing to be afraid of, please just be curious and accept, like, be open to accept us and to take us to take you in a journey of happiness and union and love. So yeah, it was like a lot of nights talking about this, what we would like to give in as a message, what we would like to talk. And there was like also the topic of including the communities that get often put aside, or the communities that often, especially in our industry, in the performance arts industry, that they don't get enough spotlight. And which are like racial minorities, queer community, and sex workers involved in the arts, So
queer community does have representation, but I feel that it's from my personal experience and my friends that I know, those who don't fit a very masculine aesthetic on stage is more what I mean. Those that are a little bit gender nonconforming have a harder time to get work in our industry.
Yes. I've heard several stories of like, my friends don't get the part in the show because they're just too camp or stuff like that. Like that is really sad, because obviously they're incredibly talented and
contribute so much to culture that's used on stage.
And it's also like that importance of role models that we also want to be very strong about it. How important it is for like the younger generations or any other person to see somebody on stage. Like the stage is such a huge platform that it so often is just not being used in the right direction to properly inspire people that needs that inspiration in order to like take that step forward to become the artist, the performer, or just to express themselves the way they want to,
or feel that there's a place for them in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So to have that, to take that opportunity that we have as an artist, performers, like we're extremely privileged to be able to have a voice out loud there, to give the right message, to be a role model for those that want to become performers, to like feel that there's someone like them, Like I remember, for instance, Eva Longoria said something about Selena. Selena was the first Latina born in the U.S. She was from Mexico, but she was the first Latina born in the U.S. that made it to TV, to concerts, to like the fame, in the late 80s. And Eva Longoria said that if it wasn't for Selena, that she was able to see her on TV, to be able to see her that she made it somewhere, she wouldn't have taken the step to become an actress. And this is what is often neglected, that opportunity to see somebody like you on stage, having a voice, having a presence, in order for you to take that step to be like, oh, if there's someone like me out there, then I can do it as well. And that's what we actually want to empower like day to day. And that's our mission. So that's why we're here.
Who are some of y'all's role models?
I mean, of course, Elena. I grew up with Elena. I love watching her, how joyful, how her smile was like completely contagious, and you know, how to be that strong but soft feminine energy out there contributing something to the world in terms of like image wise or like energy wise. I think I have several role models for different things that have inspired me along the road. But her, for instance, I can say has been also until today my inspiration to actually empower who I am as a Latina and don't try to fit in any box that the society forces you to fit in, you know. And we see it often in our community, in our industry, that if you don't wear a certain style of costumes, if you don't have certain style, you know, since I started training and performing aerials, my straps, I was often put aside because of my style, because it was not contemporary enough, because it was not the strong enough. I was basically not fitting that form. And soon enough, I just really decided to don't take it as part of my motto. And I just decided to embrace how I wanted to express myself. And I pursued that. And I promised myself to always be honest and genuine if who I want to be out there and what is the voice I want to be speaking out there on stage. And I want that voice to be heard by women like me that they don't fit in that role and they want to pursue a career of such. So
I think it's kind of like a cultural supremacy to tell women which kind of woman they have to be, and to anybody that feels the need to express themselves, like in terms of women's sexuality, it's a very highly controlled and regulated thing.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, like totally the opposite of freedom.
Yeah.
And any voice that is coming that says woman has to be like this in order to be perceived as a whole person is something that there's, you know, room for challenge and room to be discussed. And, you know, as African American, I'm kind of like in the straddle of two different cultures. You know, I'm very much, I'm 100% a Western person, but I have a little bit of view into other modalities. And, you know, I can just speak from my own experience, but I feel that within my culture, it's not the way that women express themselves is different. And that lets me to sort of question the way that feminism is, the model of feminism that we're given. Because I feel that I am a feminist, I'm an empowered woman, but I don't feel that that's threatened by like the type of colors that I like to wear, the type of clothes that I like to wear. That doesn't mean that I'm any less intellectual because I like to dress colorfully or because I enjoy expressing my sexuality. And I just can't understand how that's still a topic.
Yeah, I completely agree with this, because I also have this kind of discomfort sometimes in how feminists will treat women like myself, that I'm completely is my choice, and I'm completely empowered by the sexuality and the energy that I can bring out from myself. It's my way of expression, and often this gets sexualized and put down because I am not just being aggressively against men, you know? And for me, like being empowered in that sense
has to be whatever it is that people, that box, just like you said, that box that is acceptable for women to present themselves as
feminist.
Well, I also think that, you know, like feminism gets a bad rap in this way because, I mean, even as you're saying, like a feminist has to be against men. And I think that like actually, if we look at feminism in like in a historical context, like some of the most feminist legislation in the United States anyway has actually been in support of men who were able to collect Social Security when their wives died, men who were able to take time off to be with their kids, like that. Those are all like feminist contributions as well. And I feel like, to your point, unless a feminist who fits into this model of like, oh, we have to just work a 9-to-5 job and wear a suit and cover everything up, and that means that we are equal to men, is kind of like,
it's the thing that people can't see your brain if they see your body. That has to go.
100%.
Yeah. Totally. I'm interested though. I have to ask, because I think it's so funny, kind of like Yammel, thinking about your trajectory and thinking about how you felt like, oh, you weren't enough and you weren't making the strength moves on straps, because now you're like a legend in the straps world. You're like the sexy, empowered, like goddess of the strap. And I know people who are super strong. They go to Victor, 5 times a week, and they're like, I just want to be sexy like Yammel. And I'm interested to know, like, and for you too, Michele, like, what was it? Where was it? Just reading more, thinking more, learning more? Like, how does that happen where we kind of stop internalizing these messages about like being sexy for other people and feeling like that feminine energy, or like channeling that sexuality and owning our bodies or owning yourself to be the artist you want to be? Like, I know this is like a really hard question to answer very quickly, but like, did you feel like you had any turning points or moments where like that happened?
Like for me personally, it happened when I stopped trying to be something that was accepted, to just being. Mm-hmm. I just took a moment to just accept who I was, who I am, and then just let it flow and be. And I was in a moment where I was like, I'll just be for whoever wants to be there for me. And if they don't want to be there for me, it's okay. But I'm not going to contain, and I'm not going to restrict the way I feel and the way I want to express myself for others' comfort,
Yeah.
So I think it was just like a moment of setting myself free of any judgment and like oppressive thoughts or like conforming thoughts to try to be what they expected me to be, to just be. I don't know if this makes sense, but
no, it makes total. I mean, I think it's like an awareness thing, right? Of like figuring out like, oh, yeah, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you became just more aware and like we're thinking about like, okay, what is me in all of this? And like, what is what I think people want me to be?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, also when I started doing straps, there was really not many girls doing straps. There were like 3 girls. Victor was not taking strap students anymore. Most of the people in Montreal were surprised that he was actually coaching me. I did go through the process of like he telling me that if I really wanted to do straps, I had to lose weight because I'm a natural curvy woman, which I was committed because I also feel for my personal work, I feel like strong commitment to the community as well, to still deliver a high skill level.
Yes.
To honor who we are as a community. I'm not just gonna conform to do whatever and then just try to be sexy on stage. It's just like there is a balance of like having that commitment to the community, having a commitment with my persona, having a commitment with my femininity, have a commitment with everything and try to put it in a balance and be able to deliver that. So I still wanted to train hard and try to achieve as much as I could in technique wise and educating myself and just trying to deliver something good enough out there. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
And Michele, I'm interested. I don't know much about you or your story or your trajectory.
Well, I wanted to also
please
answer the question that Yammel answered, like about myself personally is a different topic, but in general, what I think about all of these cultural issues that we're questioning as a society is just something about creating a space where each person is able to be themselves. So I don't think that femininity or these questions of cultural superiority, it's not about there's no like one particular answer. Like you have to be this kind of woman or this kind of man in order for the society to be more comfortable for everyone else. But can we work together to allow each person to have the space to be what they are on the inside?
I love that.
Yeah, I think in the overall, the motto and advice, or however you want to take it, of what I can say is just, no matter what, just be honorable and like honor who you are, who the others are. And that's like the main seed of being open-minded in an instance, that is having understanding and compassion for who you are and who the others are. And I think like with that base and with that foundation, like everything will just flow, and like it will just be it will just happen.
I love that. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love it. I just love it because y'all are such badass. I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is another Montreal thing, and I probably will cut this comment, but like, I just love that these really, like, both of you who are super sexy, super like high level, super respected people in the industry are talking about, making work that comes from a place of integrity and a place of honor and a place of thoughtfulness for what's going on in the world. And what comes out of that is such a unique, but also, and I don't want to say, the word I want to use is digestible, like it's approachable, I guess is the word, but such a unique product or show or piece of art that comes from all this really intellectual and heart-led discussion.
That's one thing that's really interesting to me. Like my background is in visual art, not in circus. And when you're asking about role models, I felt like thrown off for a second. I was like, I don't know. But actually my role models are my grandparents. They're both also visual artists. They're social documentary photographers. And they also make work that is about the Black community. My grandparents lived in Baltimore for 30 years, and I lived there for 10 years. And their work is about the people in our neighborhood, expressing the humanity in people that are ignored and oppressed, looking into ourselves and holding a mirror to people that you are beautiful. No matter what you see in the mainstream consciousness. Yeah, my mom made me look in the mirror and say, I love you to myself every day. In the morning before I went to school. We lived in the South, in an all-white community, and without ever being really explicit about what we were dealing with in school, she worked really hard to make sure that we had positive self-image and good self-esteem. And that's also what I see in my grandparents' work and what they want to do as a community. My grandmother did a project where she did photos of people in our neighborhood. And our neighborhood is like, she said that she got inspired to do this photo project because when she went to school, and it's the same school I went to, on the first day of school, they have a student safety meeting where they advise people to never go on our street. So she did her work documenting the people on that street. And she did a project where she was able to get those photos blown up and put as billboards all over the city.
Ooh, that's so badass.
Yeah. And she did things like do exhibitions at the library where people would be able to see them, Yeah. Even though what I have done is really different, that like mentality is definitely a big part of my life. Like the communities I want to be involved with, the people that I know, how I approach things that I do, and like always making sure that there's integrity in the way that I choose to live my life.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really important, and like another character in y'all's story and creation of caramel cookies is the city of Berlin. I feel like it's such a specific place. It's one of my cities. I fucking love Berlin. Can you talk a little bit about, and you kind of alluded to this, but you're both North American. Yammel from Mexico and Michele, you're from the States. Do you think you could make caramel cookies in North America? Do you think it's like a very Berlin event? Like, how could it translate to different places?
I mean, we feel extremely lucky and grateful how welcoming has been here. And sometimes we go back and forward to be like, wow, if we weren't in this city, we wouldn't have the freedom to just do everything we do, you know, especially going on the streets. I feel it will be well received in certain places, but we definitely will have to be very careful in some others. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
I guess my question is more around like how you're viewed, because Berlin is such an open city, you know, like I feel like, of course, there's racism and sexism and all that and misogyny and all that bullshit like everywhere. But I feel like I'm thinking about like Berlin as opposed to Greenville, South Carolina. It's pretty easy to be received in a place like Berlin, you know?
But we actually have had encounters on the streets that are very funny. For sure, that they're very funny. We've been chased with an umbrella down the street in our little cars by a man saying that go back to fucking America. We've been told that what is wrong in this world, that this is bullshit, that we should get a job in the middle of a pandemic. We've been like passively aggressive, being confused with a brothel.
But to me, those are just signs that even though our project is, like you said, very digestible, it is the subversive message is clear and it is working. And most of the people like are super, super in love with us and really receptive. And I believe that they get it and have been like amazingly supportive.
Yes.
But you can't do something that is subversive without subverting somebody.
Yeah, but I think, we're happy that it has also triggered the right people to be triggered and, you know, creating an impact in a way. But in the overall, everybody has been super welcoming. And I don't know if you heard like our story when the first time, we will never forget, but the very first time we took the cars out after working like 2 weeks nonstop in like working in the details, everything on the cars. And when we went out, it was just amazing to see the faces of everybody reacting and like how amazed they will stop, like cars will stop, people will stop, they will like ask us so many questions.
Like I could see people from down the street, like their face just dropped, their mouth open, and I could see their mouthing the words like, what the fuck?
Yes.
And that's not the typical Berliner response to.
Yeah. Like
sure.
We've painted rainbow smile in gray faces for sure. Oh. You know, like sometimes I like to see it like in the cartoons when you see like a very like joyful character goes through the street and everything is gray and it's like it's stepping, like it's like starts turning into colors and like that's how I feel it sometimes when we go out, that as soon as like we are out, everything transforms. You know, like people that is busy, that is in a rush, that even if they don't want to, because sometimes they really don't want to smile, but they do, you know? And like, yeah, it's just so, I think every time we go out, I just feel like we're doing the right thing. And I'm just so happy that we can at least change the mood for an instant or for the rest of the day in somebody's
And for me too,
life.
Like this time has been really, really, really challenging. And some of those moments, like as well, like not only myself, but being able to share with Yammel, like with my friend who I care about, and watching her smile, watching her have a good time, and
working too.
Getting all the recognition that she deserves. And
yes. Love this. Love some strong women building each other up. Okay, wait. So because I want to make sure that we have time for everything, and something that I've seen, but I don't know the whole story about. There was some drama or some copycats. Yes? What happened?
Yeah. So basically, like around nearly 2 months ago, the Zurich circus producer He produces a sexy show. I just don't know how much I'm allowed to say names legally out there.
Okay. I mean, we all know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. So he belongs in like a family of traditional circus. I worked for him last year in his show.
Mm-hmm.
And then he approached me and he was like, "Oh, can I use your photos to promote my new dinner show?" And I was like, "Oh, we have a show and this is our project." He's like, "Oh, great. Tell me more about it." Okay. So then we were sending back and forward messages and talking about the possibility to come and perform. And that went on for like a month of like negotiations and stuff like that. And then after these chats, he decided to cancel. He was like, just out of the blue, he sent me a message being like, "Hey, there's no more aerial capabilities in my venue, but maybe in the spring I'll have another venue where you guys can come. And thank you so much." But me knowing that he already wanted to use our promotional material to promote his show, I just very politely said, "I hope you find the right material to promote your show. I hope you're also understanding that this is my new project and I want to push it as far as possible." At the same with the characters. And that was it. And then I just realized on social media, he started copying absolutely everything, like the brand itself.
And all the way down to the, like, as a side thing, Yammel had the idea, like, at first we started with the cookie cards, and then we took that to building into a street show and to a longer show. But it's this, like, parallel project. Yammel had the idea to start an agency and production company that works with groups that normally have a harder time getting work. And we recently found out as well that he's incorporating the aspect and using drag performers, not only copying the image of the cars and as well the characters of Yammel and I ourselves.
And the name.
And the name.
Even the name?
Our entire Instagram.
Yeah, well, because the company that was the foundation of it is the Pink Light District, and he just called it the Pink Rabbit, which is like, you know, when he contacted me, he didn't have any concept.
Right.
He didn't have any concept about it. And the next thing we see is just basically our brand taken into a very cheap way, because I have to say it looks terrible, but it's very wannabe us. I mean, he agreed that I was going back and forth with him over the phone, and I have a voice note saying like he didn't inspire by us, that I should come down. I sound ridiculous.
Yes, I hate this. Like, this is my question is like, oh, I'm interrupting you. Go. Keep talking.
It's okay.
Tell me.
Say, like, I hope you can come down and see the show. Yeah, it's just very cynical. And obviously he has all the financial means to put it out there and make it like it's his own. And we slowly are building up, you know, like we're largely unemployed, and our savings went as much as we could into start creating things. The cookies were financing props and costumes and like trying to develop the show. So we are so behind financially to be able to claim our work when he's just taking it and make it like publicly and go like publicity like extensively.
Yeah, he already has like 3 times the Instagram following that we do.
And, you know, I mean, we feel powerless, you know, it's been a completely devastating time because this project was our soul. It was coming from a place of obviously sadness and transforming that sadness into an empowerment and to be able to help others in the future. So all the nature of our project is being taken to the most nasty and privileged way that you could imagine. So it's just, it just feels, I don't know, I don't even have words to say how hurt we are by it and how has affected us. But at the same time, we've taken the initiative to transform all of that into a creativity and taking it farther. And now we're like, we've been in creation for a few days now and trying to make a stronger show and incorporating more characters into our cookie world. And obviously we reached out for help. So we try to also get empowered by this devastating behavior. And I don't know what else to add.
I'm so glad y'all are speaking out about this, because I feel like so often this happens so much more frequently than people realize. And there's like a whole layer, and I'm sure, Michele, you can speak on this way better than I can, but there's a whole layer to me about this, about appropriating minority work.
Yeah, completely, 100%.
It feels super, I'm going to say, it feels super racist. Like, I'm looking at this.
He got a light-skinned, Latin-looking girl to be Yammel, and he got a mixed-looking Black girl to be me, and like took Yammel's character, which is based out of her family history. It's like everything, even though, like we said, everything looks very, very cute and playful, but it is really steeped in meaning.
Yeah.
And my character is celebrating street culture in Baltimore, and he changed that into a Native American with a tacky dress.
And my father was a cowboy in Mexico. The whole north where my family is coming from, that's what we do. We have agriculture. And that's why I'm portraying that character, because it's in my roots. Is like, I want to talk about who I am and where is it coming from. So yeah, it's just, what can we say? It's just like,
I mean, it's bullshit, and it's like, I could say a lot about it, actually. I mean, it's bullshit and it's wrong. And what breaks my heart the most about it is it's such a clear illustration about how important artists are, how thoughtful, and like how you guys are the tastemakers, and this person comes in and because he has resources can capitalize on something that you've taken. I use this word a lot, the creative capital or intellectual capital, you know, and you're working on translating that into like money or like a living for yourselves. And this person who doesn't have to do any of the work to create the creative capital has tried, I think he's going to fail, to like co-opt this.
Yeah, and it's also really important to me because earlier I mentioned about being inspired by music videos. And to me, a sad byproduct of kind of like cultural supremacy that happens is that things that have a certain aesthetic or things that can be profitable aren't considered to be art within our modern lexicon. And that discounts a lot of things that come from minority cultures because we don't have the luxury to make things that don't make money. And as well, like the audience that we speak to is coming from a different place and is able to receive things in a different way, and they need a different message. So the same thing as we talked about, that idea about cuteness, about digestibility, about joy, but making sure that it has integrity. Projects like what he has done exactly undermine those efforts because it creates something that is just completely vapid, has no meaning, but has it just sells an aesthetic. And that's exactly the issues what we try to fight, and like something that has made my artistic journey really difficult and makes it really hard for us when we bring these ideas into productions, why there's often pushback or inability for people to understand what it is that we're trying to do.
There is like a very, without sounding like abrupt with this, what I'm gonna say, but there is like in terms of product, there is this like everybody, all the companies like marketing, whatever, they want to give a place, and I'm saying place with brackets, to whatever, to Black and Latin or Asian or any racial minority. But they often, when you see in magazines, when you see in music videos, when you see on TV, it's a very white racial minority in a way, like every
a white interpretation of
like every Latino looking woman I'll see in a magazine is not real Latina. It's just a white girl tan with dark hair. And then it's like there is your racial minority kind of opportunity to see somebody, like, you know what I mean, a little bit like there is not that chance that
to
is
have the actual voice
to like actually is like be representing what it has to be represented genuinely. Not
it's a really surface, to see if I understand this right, like it's a really surface representation, right? Like it's not just about the fact that you have a Black girl like on your Instagram feed, it's like, well, what does she have to say? What is her history? What is her culture? Like, where is that? And how do you create space? I'm talking you, like, as white people, myself included, like, create the space, because I do think that white people have a obligation to do this for the benefit of all humanity. Not just so that you are like, oh, look, I have a Black person, but like, what do they bring to the table, and how can we all like learn from each other? Yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, of course.
How am I doing? I'm like, because this is a dialogue that like, I feel like if I'm not also exploring like as myself, as an artist, as, a person, and not just like an interviewer, I want to understand it better always. And I think you guys are doing an amazing job of like enlightening me and my audience and the whole city of fucking Berlin in this way. So thank you.
No, thank you for understanding and giving us the space to express our thoughts and be able to voice it out as well.
Completely. I want to wrap up. Is there anything else before I ask my final question? Is there anything else that like you guys want to promote? You guys want to talk about, say?
Yeah, I just want to say I kindly fuck you to Gregory Kenny.
Fuck that guy.
I think I have a small dick. You can keep this as well. Not by experience, but infamous small dick.
Great.
There you go.
Cool.
Keep it the Latina.
Amazing. Well, and I think this is something, I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna fucking, anyway. Okay, cool. Last question. Like, I don't know what else to say. Fuck that guy. What advice would you give to yourself at the beginning of your career?
Oh,
I always drop the bomb right at the end.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I was just thinking like when you asked me before about my background, I talked about it in a different way. I didn't talk about like my circus background. Yeah, like I said, I went to school for art and I got into hula hoop accidentally. I went to a music festival in like 2000 or 2001 and I got into hula hoop in that way. And at that time, it totally was not a thing at all. Like, I also knew nothing about circus. I never seen anybody doing anything like that in my life. And I genuinely believed me and my crazy friends were the only people doing that. And we had a little mission to just turn everyone into freaks like us. And we would go to the park with all of our hula hoops and gather people to join in and just creating like a really fun and positive community experience wherever we were. And we started to develop that. Eventually, we all went our separate ways, and I never stopped hula hooping. And it became like a really important aspect of my like mental health experience. It's just something that always made me feel good. And sometimes it can be hard to feel good. Mm-hmm. And I got inspired by like breakdancers, how they move, and I wanted to translate that into the hula hoop. And I, without really recognizing it, kind of put together an act that hadn't really been done before in circus. At like around this time, YouTube had come out, and I had seen some hula hoop acts, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a thing! Like, I want to do that." And like in Baltimore, there was definitely not access to that world. So I like left the city and I traveled. I went to Asia. I went for a little while to the circus school in China. I came here to Berlin and my number was really well received. And then I went to the festival in Paris, and that's where I met Yammel. But throughout that time, there was so much naysaying because I'm not an acrobat. I'm not a dancer. I don't have a physical background. As well, my tastes aren't European tastes. So before I came up with the act that I did, which actually is kind of a compromise between things that I really enjoy and things that I know that people would accept as artistic. Yeah. I wish going back that I could have told myself that all the things that that taste is just taste, and it's okay to like what you like, and it's okay to be what you are.
I actually now feel really inspired by Michele telling her story, and I would like to say where I'm coming from and the story behind me achieving things. So I'm coming from Mexico, from a very low-class neighborhood where we basically don't get pizza delivery because it's dangerous area, and if the scooters come with pizza, they don't leave. With
Yeah.
the scooters come in scooters, you know. I found about kind of street performance and like in a very hippie way, and I got drawn by it, and it was something that my family didn't support. So by the time I was actually doing fire hula hoop, I was learning to do fire hula hoop. So I found this tent in the middle of a parking lot where everybody was teaching themselves to do some silks and trapeze and some juggling, but everything was very, very hippie and really not technique or anything like that. So I started getting into climbing silks and going in the trapeze, but I did nothing physically before this. And thanks to having a fire hula hoop, I started doing the fire on the light stops of the city. Mm-hmm. And collecting coins, I started taking ballet classes. So I will go to my ballet class, I'm paying in like all these coins. And slowly I just committed myself to actually take more dance classes and like be more focused in training. And I was 17 already then. And then I discovered that there was a circus school in Montreal. So I saved $600 in total out of like working here and there in clubs and in the street and like all this. And I took my stuff and I moved to Montreal. And Gordy. I took Gordy with me. I was like, Gordy, we're leaving. And I moved to Montreal. I didn't speak English or French. I knew no one. So it was like a very, very, like, I don't know how to say, like, risky thing that I did. But I just believed that that's what I wanted to do. And that was what was sparkling my life. I auditioned for Quebec Circus School and I got in. And in order to be able to pay it, I was working in nightclubs, and I was like also doing human statue on the streets in Montreal over the summer. So I had a very long self-funded journey through this. And if I was now to go back in time and be able to whisper to myself a piece of advice then, is just to really don't give up and do everything with the heart, because at the end, that's what it pays off. And staying true to myself, I think.
Hell yeah. You ladies are both an inspiration to me. God, my mic. Thank you so much for coming on today. For sure. If people want to follow you on Instagram so you can get more followers than these assholes, where should they go? Because we're going to make that happen for sure.
Just follow us in Caramel Cookies.
KRML
_cookies.
Yes. Cute.
Give us a like. Send us a cute message and share our story, please.
Yay! I can't wait to.
Yeah, we are doing a fundraising campaign right now. We're super, super fortunate that people have supported us and we met our goal.
Yes.
To do our production. But we are very conscious of everything that's happening right now, and we asked for a very modest amount in order to finish. And that doesn't include any kind of salary for us, and as well for our dear friend LJ, who came here from London. We would love to.
Our third cookie in crime is LJ Marles. Go follow him as well.
We would love to be able to give him a little something for coming down here. So if people feel inspired by what we're facing and want to help us to take our project to the next level,
we will be extremely grateful. We really did set a very low goal, just because we know what's going on, but it will be really great if we could have a little bit of money to pay us.
For sure.
For all this stuff. Yeah, and just follow us for like all the news that are coming, and we will like to live broadcast our show So if they want to watch what we are creating and be a cookie in crime, just
That's right. All of our supporters get a live link to our show that's going to be happening in a few weeks. So if you want to check this out.
Wait, when does the show happen? What's the
we don't
date?
have a precise date just yet, but roughly the 17th or 16th of October.
Okay. I'm just thinking because we can like time this episode to come out so like it promotes the show, you know, like in the same week or something. So people can like hear it and then go. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should definitely do that. For sure.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for making this possible and to give a voice to so many performers out there to bring their stories to be heard, to inspire. I often listen to your podcast as when I'm feeling really low and I lack of inspiration and motivation, just because listening to stories of people, how they get where they are, is always so inspiring. So thank you for creating this platform. I think it's a very important contribution to our community and society in general. And
thanks, Yammel.
Thank you.
And thank you for in 2015 or 16 letting me borrow your silk from the Catacombs so I could perform at the Winter Garden.
I'm glad I could help.
It was awesome. I just love when like things come full circle, and I'm super excited to see where you guys go in the next like 3-4 years, like what this turns into and how big it can get. Cause I think you guys have like an amazing message, an amazing like drive, like you have everything you need. So just keep going for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everyone. And I just want to send a great hello to my mom. I'm joking.
Hola, Mama Rodriguez.
My mom, my number one fan and biggest supporter. She always tells me she loves me and she's proud of me. Even when I feel like a doctor. So thank you, Mom.
Awesome. All right, y'all. I'm going to sign off, but let's be in touch. If I need any like press or anything more from you guys, and like, yeah, this is a great interview.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gracias.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Michelle. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was my interview with Yammel Rodriguez and Michelle Frances Clarke, Caramel Cookies. Also want to take a moment to shout out the third cookie who couldn't be there for the interview, but is definitely integral for the project, Miss Deja Dabam, who you can follow at Deja Dabam on Instagram. For Yammel, you can follow Yammel, and Michelle Frances Clarke is Michelle Frances Clarke. And if you want to follow Caramel Cookies on Instagram, show them some love. They are KRML_cookies. And seriously, y'all, KRML_cookies. They are amazing and they really need community support. As you heard in the interview, there is a producer out there who is taking their idea and trying to capitalize on it, taking out all of the good stuff, all the representation, all the female empowerment, all the exploration of and celebration of different races, different cultures. He took all of that out and just made vapid entertainment. And it's not going to go down like that. So Caramel_cookies, CRML_cookies on Instagram. Go show them some love. They do have a fundraising campaign going on. I believe you can still donate to it, but go check it out and follow them for all future announcements about this project. I think it's really incredible. I'm going to follow them. And as for me, if you want aerial training tips and inspiration, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at _artist_athlete. I'm on Facebook, The Artist Athlete. My website is theartistathlete.com. And if you love what you're listening to every week, be like Dominique. Go to patreon.com/theartistathlete and join the force. Thanks for listening. Talk at you next week, friends, fans, and enemies. The Artist Athlete podcast is supported solely by donations from people like you. Here's what some of those people have to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominique, a ground acrobat, trapeze artist, and coach, currently bringing circus to the extremely cold but very beautiful Northern Ontario, Canada. Circus has changed my life, and I'm so grateful to everyone in this community. Find me on Instagram at DomUpsideDown or my website, domupsidedown.com.
Hi everyone, this is Allie Cooper, owner and coach at the Radical Movement Factory in Santa Cruz, California. I love supporting the Artist Athlete podcast and the amazing community Shannon has created here. I teach rope and fabric and have a circus conditioning app available on iTunes called CIRCUS. You can follow me on Instagram at AllieCooper_, and if you find yourself in California, come say hi.
Hi, I'm Leah. I hate conditioning, so I created the ABCs of Fitness, a fun, full program of active flexibility, body weight, and cardio with personal daily check-ins to motivate you wherever you are and whatever discipline you do. Join our next 19-day check-in challenge and slide into my DMs on Instagram at ABCs of Fitness.
Aloha! My name is Beth Russell, and I live on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. I am an aerial artist and movement instructor specializing in chakra yoga to keep me balanced and grounded. I play with silks, trapeze, lyra, rope, acro, aerial yoga and dance, slacklining, pole, bungee, and climbing. Really anything that goes up and allows me to explore 3D space. You can find my dedicated aerial page on Instagram at Maui Aerialist. If you find yourself coming to Maui, let's play.
Hey there, friends, fans, and enemies. This is Chris Alston, Patreon of the Artist Athlete podcast, straps artist and lyra performer and acrobat out of Greenville, South Carolina. So if you're ever passing through, make sure to stop in and see me and my friends. We have a wonderful space, and we'd love to see you.
Hi, my name is Erica Lee. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm an aerialist. I teach performing arts to elementary school during the day and do pole and sling and rope by night. I really, really like the Artist Athlete podcast because it gives me a lot of circus goals to look forward to. It gives me a lot of insight on what's going on around the world in circus, and that's why I'm Patreon.
Hello, all. Thank you for tuning in to the Artist Athlete podcast. I am Opal Schwartz from Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're ever in the cities, feel free to stop by the Aviary Minneapolis. It's a great time. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and goodbye.
Hey there, artists and athletes. This is Andy Smith, owner and artistic director at Saltaire Circus School in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I want to thank you for contributing to the Artist Athlete podcast. If you ever find yourself down in Florida, come check us out. Whether you're an artist, athlete, or someone ordinary just looking to be extraordinary, we got a place for you.